right, with us now, Democratic strategist Matt Bennett and political strategist Madison Gesiato. I want to put up one more quote following up on what Lauren was just talking about there. This from Republican Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri, who said, "I don't know that I think it's the best use of U.S. resources to spend a bunch of money in Gaza. I think that maybe I prefer that to be spent in the United States first." So, Madison, what happened to America first from Donald Trump? Is that out the window?
Well, I think this could be opening up conversations moving forward. And I think President Trump last night, what he was doing was putting the Middle East on notice, putting the world on notice that the status quo will not stand, similar to what we're seeing going on here in the United States with Doge and other things happening with our government. He's saying we cannot continue to see this go on the way that it has in the Middle East for decades. The Palestinian people deserve better. The Middle East deserves better. And so maybe we see talks about Saudi coming in and potentially developing here, making it a habitable place for Palestinians and others to live in the future. We'll see what happens. Obviously, Steve Witkoff visiting Gaza last week, seeing that it's completely uninhabitable, that people that are there, that are remaining, are living in squalor, that there's unexploded ordinances that could kill children. People can't live like this, and it's gotten worse than ever.
Matt, just a conversation starter? I mean, Donald Trump didn't talk about the Saudis going in. He talked about U.S. ownership, a long-term ownership position there.
Yeah, I mean, he was serious about this. It's a thing that his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, has speculated about, making kind of fancy properties in Gaza to sell to people who are not Palestinian, to be clear. And, it's just another case of Trump talking off the cuff, which is fine when you're a real estate developer and not at all fine when you're the president of the United States. Just yesterday, they announced that the CIA, every person at the CIA got a notice asking if they want to resign. It might be a good idea for the president to listen to the intelligence community, because if he did, he would know that the idea that he floated yesterday was bananas, as we heard from Republican senators, and is going to do damage to our efforts to try to bring stability back to the region.
So, Matt, along these lines, and also some of the things that are happening domestically, there's the question of how do Democrats react. And Senator Chris Murphy from Connecticut has been more outspoken than most Democrats. And just a few minutes ago, he was talking, and I think I wrote down the quote correctly here: "Democrats need to act like our democracy is weeks away from disintegrating, because it is," says Chris Murphy. So, A, do you agree with him? And B, what does it look like for Democrats if they're going to behave like democracy is disintegrating?
Well, I certainly agree that what Trump is doing on many fronts is incredibly destructive. He is breaking things that are going to be impossible or very, very hard to put back together, things that we need to protect Americans. And he's doing things that are putting Americans at risk. I mean, he has given the keys to Elon Musk and a bunch of 24-year-olds to the Treasury payment system, to everyone's Medicare and Medicaid records. People are very concerned about their privacy. They're concerned about the ability of the government to continue to function. So I don't know if our democracy is at risk in the next couple of weeks, but it is clear that the function of American government is at risk, because he's allowing this unelected multi-billionaire to just run roughshod over all of American government. It's very scary. What he's doing with the FBI and the CIA is scary. We do need to pay attention, but boy, there's a lot of things happening all at once.
Madison, for years, I've heard Republicans talk about unelected bureaucrats running government. But what about unelected billionaires running government?
Listen, John, drama's at an all-time high with Democrats right now, but the reality is this is the one chance that we have as Americans to take our government back from these unelected bureaucrats. I think what Elon Musk and his team are doing is absolutely incredible. I mean, they're saving us $1 billion a day. They want to increase to $3 billion a day. When you look at the rampant waste, fraud, and abuse that has got us to well over $34 trillion in national debt, many people sounding the alarm 10 years ago, myself included, saying that we can't continue down this road. Republicans and Democrats both have gotten us here. We can't continue to grow government and to spend money that we don't have. We don't, as Americans, get to do that in our companies, in our lives, and we shouldn't allow the government to continue to do that. And so what they're doing, I think, is great. They're saving us money. They're putting money back into the pockets of the American people, and hopefully we can get that national debt and those deficits down where they need to be.
Matt, how do Democrats have this discussion, this what apparently is now an unelected bureaucrat versus unelected billionaire discussion?
Look, there's no question that there's some fat to cut in federal agencies, but this is the exact wrong way to do it. We need change, but we need some other kind of change, not this kind of hatchet and sledgehammer approach that Trump and Musk are taking. If the Trump administration had come in and said, we're going to review all the things the government is doing, and then we're going to take a scalpel, and we're going to cut away the things that we think are bad, that would be much harder for Democrats to resist. But what he is doing instead is taking, a sledgehammer and a bulldozer to government, and that is going to hurt people in real ways. Now, just one last example. On the day after the horrible air tragedy in Washington, D.C., the very next day, every single air traffic controller in America got an email asking them if they wouldn't like to resign and do something more productive, implying that they are lazy and useless. That is not the way to reform government.
Matt Bennett, Madison Jesse Otto, thank you both for being with us this morning.